What's up guys, I'm Caden with Crypto Now and Ever, and welcome back to another Miggles update. If you enjoy this style of content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. As always, none of this is financial advice. Let's get into it.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want.
Okay, so as you guys can see, Mr. Miggles has obviously had a decent sell-off since my last video. You can see that it's down to a $13.3 million market cap. And if you just look at it from a technical analysis standpoint, you can see that it lost support. And I'll even zoom out and just show you guys kind of the bigger picture of Mr. Miggles. I know a lot of people were kind of looking at the 2024 support. And you can see at the moment that Mr. Miggles is actually holding support. However, there for a little bit, it did actually break beneath it. Now, what does this mean for Mr. Miggles? Well, to be honest with you guys, I personally don't think it's Mr. Miggles' fault. And I know there are a lot of people who aren't going to agree with that. They're just going to say, oh, Mr. Miggles is a bad project. But I cannot stress enough, you have to understand overall market conditions right now. I know it may seem like I'm saying the same thing in pretty much every single video, but you cannot expect a project like Mr. Miggles to break out when we are in extreme fear right now. You can see that the coin market cap fear and greed index is at 20. And if you look at this fear and greed index, we're at 23. Either way, this is extreme fear. Yesterday, it was at 21. This is very important to understand. The majority of projects are not going to be pumping during these market conditions. That's just the reality of how crypto works. Now, to that point though, I will say, historically speaking, it's almost always been profitable to buy the fear. And not just the fear, but especially if you have the stomach to buy extreme fear. Now, I'm not saying it'll be profitable for a project like Mr. Miggles or any of the low cap meme coins. I can't guarantee that. But I'm talking historically speaking for something like Bitcoin. Like, you have to understand right now, Bitcoin is quite literally still trading at 102,400. You would think with the extreme fear in the market that Bitcoin had dropped all the way down to 30,000. But if you look at Bitcoin from a technical analysis standpoint, it's still holding key support. If you guys have been watching my content, you know that I was pointing out the 50 weekly moving average. And I was saying, don't be surprised if we drop down to this level and even wick beneath it, because it could liquidate a lot of positions. And you can see as of right now, it did wick quite a bit beneath it, but it's fighting to reclaim it right now. Understand that this weekly candle doesn't close until Sunday though, so we don't have a clear idea of what's going to happen. But I just want to make sure you guys understand, if you look at Bitcoin in the weekly time frame and you just actually look at it for a second, it's still holding key support, and the stochastics are extremely oversold right now. You can see that the stochastics are putting in a double bottom on the weekly. Historically speaking, that is almost always going to lead to a bounce. Just simply look at the last time we were extremely oversold. That was right down here. What happened? Bitcoin came up and put in higher highs. Okay, you look at the last time we were oversold right here. What happened? Bitcoin put in higher highs yet again. And it's not like we just reached the oversold region. We are extremely oversold right now. Again, am I guaranteeing a Bitcoin breakout? No, I am not. But some of you guys just have to take a deep breath and actually look at the bigger picture. I've also tried to point this out in my last several videos, but if you just look at Bitcoin and you truly look at the bigger picture, we're still in a clear macro uptrend. I'm getting a lot of bear market questions, but the reason I don't necessarily think we're heading into a bear market is because nothing has changed from a structural standpoint. If you look at the previous bear market, you can see that technical analysis clearly lost key levels and then we got nuked from there. No such thing has happened yet on Bitcoin. So am I saying that we can't go into a bear market right now? No, I'm not. Anything is possible, but the main reason that people are saying that is because they believe the 4-year cycle is going to play out. Because I don't think anyone can be saying that from a technical analysis standpoint. It just doesn't look like that. If you actually just analyze it, it looks like a typical pullback. But again, the reason that there's a lot of panic is because people think the 4-year cycle is going to play out and they think we're topping right now. The reason I don't necessarily agree with that is because we're seeing market conditions continue to improve and improve and improve. The Federal Reserve quite literally just announced that quantitative tightening is going to be coming to an end on December 1st. That is massive. During the last altcoin season, it was quantitative easing. We have not seen quantitative easing since 2021. We have been in quantitative tightening ever since, and quantitative tightening is not bullish for risk on assets. So that is huge. And then on top of that, we've also had consecutive rate cuts. And then a lot of people are not even factoring in M2 global liquidity increasing. So right now, there are a lot of things that would suggest market conditions are getting better. Again, can I guarantee that? No. But my point is that I think extreme fear on the fear and greed index is crazy right now. But if you look at Ethereum, you can see that it's in a similar situation to Bitcoin. You can see that Ethereum clearly lost this bull flag and we lost the 21 weekly moving average. This was just a straight up drop and then we wicked just beneath the 50 weekly. So Bitcoin and Ethereum were in a very similar situation. If you look at Ethereum, the stochastics are also extremely oversold. And similar to Bitcoin, if you look throughout Ethereum's history, you can see oversold stochastics. What happened? We put in a higher high. Okay, you go back a little bit. All right, oversold stochastics. What happened right here? We had a nice bounce. Now, Ethereum did put in a triple top, so I won't act like it's been a higher high every single time. However, it has at least bounced. So every time I see extremely oversold stochastics, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to get some sort of a bounce. Now, does that mean it's going to happen right away? No, that does not. But don't be surprised at all if Ethereum does get a bounce. And obviously, if Bitcoin and Ethereum do get bounces, then that should be very good for a project like Mr. Miggles. Again, everyone's panicking on a project like this and they think that Mr. Miggles is just bleeding out and going to zero. But I'm telling you right now, it can't perform well when the market's not performing well. It's just unrealistic to expect that. If you are a Miggles investor, what I do recommend you do is come over to their X account and listen to this recent X Spaces. This wasn't an exclusive X Spaces for Mr. Miggles, but there's still some good information. But to be completely honest with you guys, Mr. Miggles is still doing everything that they can during this downtrend. That is something that I constantly talk about. They're always making their connections and growing their network. But unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot that this project specifically can do right now. If you want to see Miggles bounce, then we need to see a bounce from the market. But as always, if you guys are interested in Mr. Miggles, market updates, and just getting into projects super early in general, then I always recommend you take a look at my Discord. If you look at the all-time gainer list, we've hit some huge multipliers in here. And I actually first posted Mr. Miggles in my Discord on day one. But if this is the kind of community that you'd like to be a part of, you can find the link right here on my YouTube homepage. It'd be awesome to have you guys in here with us. But that's about all. Let me know down in the comments how you guys are feeling about Miggles. If you enjoyed this content, please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.